John, and thanks for having me here. This is going to be exciting. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I used to work for several for-profit companies for about 20 years. In the last 18 years, I've worked with the UMass 5 College Federal Credit Union, and we're located in Amherst, Mass. We are the credit union for the University of Massachusetts and the other 4 colleges of the 5 college system. Does anybody know the 5 college system? What the 4 colleges are?
Smith.
Hampshire?
Amherst.
Mount Holyoke, right. So that's that 5 college system. And so we're the credit union for the faculty, staff, and students of the 5 colleges. And we have an array of other smaller groups that are our members as well, that are eligible groups, because there's a law that if you're a small group, you can petition a credit union to be eligible to join them as a group, and then your members are available to be credit union members. So I've been doing marketing in nonprofit financial cooperative for 18 years. I've been in the vice president of marketing actually for the entire 18 years. I joined there as a vice president of marketing. I was the first vice president there. We had big structural changes, and my boss says that I'm her firstborn, and also the problem child. And again, in marketing, you can do that and get away with it. That's why marketing is so much fun. I'm also on the board of the Cooperative Fund of New England, and I noticed that they're one of your sponsors as well, which is really great. And I'm the vice chair of that board. I'm also the chairman of the governance committee of that board. So, got a couple of things. I have my handout in written form. So I know paper sometimes isn't good, but in this case, what I really want, and I guess you're going to probably just take some notes, so that's good, on that laptop. But a lot of people would like to maybe just write along, make some thoughts. I'm going to ask you to do some exercises during this, so you can write that on the paper and so forth. And if I could just have you take those. And if you don't have a pen, I brought pens. Okay, so, oh, you grabbed one? Great, good.
Oh, you got it.
Yes, of course.
And this is the 5 college system pen?
Yes, absolutely. Let's hope they write. Did you get a handout?
Not yet.
I'm going to give you one of those anyway. Okay, and that'll come around.
That's awesome.
I can take those. Is that yours right there?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, I'll give one of those. There you go. Okay.
Yes.
And the other thing that I'd like to hand out, one of the principles at the credit union from a cooperative standpoint is education of our members. It's very important that all of our members are educated in how we do business and the areas that we do. And of course, we're in financial services, we're in banking, okay? So we do loans and we do savings and so forth. And I'm going to give you another little, this is a bookmark. You know what the book is, right? Okay. Well, your father or mother.
You open it on an iPad?
Yes, that's what it is. Yes, exactly. And that's classic.
Can you email it to me?
I can email this to you if you like. People still use them, believe it or not.
I use them, I still read.
There you go. This is just a little education piece about being a smart shopper. I guess what I want to, okay, and, I'm sorry. And I guess we're going to come back to those in a little bit, but I just wanted to hand those out to everybody. So, is there a remote or something? How do I change that?
The robotics guys.
The robotics guys can change for me, huh? Okay. I'll say click. Okay, good. Vision without planning is a delusion. You may have a vision for your co-op, and you're pretty scientific and, engineering-wise. You may guys have visions for Providence. Fabulous, but without a plan, it's total delusion. Quick.
Nice.
Another way to look at it is if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. And that's very, very true. You have to know where you're going. That's why you plan. okay?
Yeah.
So it's very, very important. And by the way, you know, this topic started with marketing plan basics, and I really want to change the word basics and I want to say principles. Because what you're going to hear tonight are some basic marketing principles, and it does not matter whether you're a for-profit company, a nonprofit company, whether you're in services, whether you're manufacturing something, these principles will work across every industry, nonprofit, for-profit, doesn't matter. These are principles, okay? And when you go through those, you'll see that happening. And you'll go, wow, I do something like that. I do something like that. Geez, all you guys are doing these things because they're principles. So the idea here is going to try to identify those for you, help you explain some of those for you in case you might feel that they're a little overwhelming or you're not sure how to connect all the dots to that. So that's really where we want to go because we want a roadmap, right? We want a map. We want to know where we're going. So we pick the right fork in the road. Because marketing is also about lots of decisions that have to be made. I heard a lot of people thinking, I don't have enough of this, I need this. I heard things like, we can't make a decision because we don't have information. And I know I have to make a decision, but we're not sure what it's going to be yet. So, fork into the road, all over the place on this, all right? Click. Okay, so what we're going to cover, why don't you just run through these, just click, 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 and click. One more, I think. Oh, now go back, sorry. Unclick. Would that be proper? All right, so later on there's going to be a more in-depth discussion about brand and brand image, but I want to touch about your mission and your brand promise first, okay? And I'm going to actually show you ours, just so you have an idea what that looks like and talk a little bit about it. But there'll be a bigger discussion about that later. Talk a little bit about the marketing plan and the process, the structure of it, elements of the planning process, and we're just talk about marketing tactics. I have about an hour, so I'm going to try to give you a bit of an overview here. But there's obviously, we could talk about any one of these areas for all night long. I mean, social media, somebody said. We could spend the rest of the evening talking about social media. That's one tactic, okay? So, bit of an overview here. That's why you've got those slides in front of you so you can follow along. Okay, click. 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 All right. A mission statement. Very simple. It explains why you exist as a business, both to your members of the organization and the people outside it. The mission statement tends to be short, clear, and powerful, and it's about your core values. How many have a mission statement written? Okay, good. So, would it fit that definition? Is it short? Is it clear? Is it powerful? Short, like one sentence, 10 words, 15 words? Okay, click. And click again. Here is ours. Our mission as a nonprofit financial cooperative is to always put the interests of our membership first and make a difference in their financial lives. That's what we do, and we do it every day. A lot. We get 8,000 phone calls a month, okay? Make a difference in their financial lives. Our staff comes to work with that in their heads, okay? Does your mission statement do that? That's what you want to know, okay? Off that is the brand promise. Click, click. Also called the unique selling proposition sometimes. The brand promise defines your offering to your target market and tells them what to expect from you. It's your promise to your customer. Click and click. Our brand promise. We promise to be member advocates and to do what's in the best interest of the member and the membership. That's what we're promising that when one of our members walks in the door, we're promising to be an advocate for them in their financial matters. They can trust us. And that's one of the reasons why people come to UMass 5. Okay, so let's just sort of keep that in the back of your mind. Your mission statement, your brand promise. Very important, because think about your marketing plan is building around the fact that you're going to want to communicate those two things to people, and then hopefully you're going to execute it and give them that experience, right? You know, you're going to tell people you want to do this, you know, business with me because of this or that, this particular piece of equipment or tool works. That's the expectation you build. And you have to deliver the promise. You have to deliver the experience. Okay, so let's do some marketing. Next slide, please. Click. All right, click. A marketing plan is a comprehensive blueprint which outlines an organization's overall marketing efforts. It's a blueprint. Would you ever think of building a house without a blueprint? We just drop the wood off, give you some nails, give you a saw and a hammer. Go. You have a blueprint, right? You don't know how the pieces fit to make that bathroom or that kitchen. So all we're talking about is having a blueprint for how you're going to communicate and do the outreach you need to make your business successful. That's really what we're trying to accomplish here. Okay, click. Click. Your plans, we say plans because in some cases you may have multiple plans. You may have a marketing plan, but you may have an outreach plan, which might be a little bit different, okay? So I may use plan or plans throughout this. It's gotta be clear, okay? Just think about that, it's gotta be clear. Click. Quantifiable, really quantified. Can you actually have some metrics against it? You know, how are you gonna do performance if you don't have a metric, okay? Next. Click. Click. Focus, the temptation to proliferate activities beyond the numbers that you can realistically control. Somebody said focus, I think. I heard somebody had said that they needed to focus a little bit more, or it sounded like that. They weren't sure where they were going. You know, too many things. We got to narrow it down. Boy, proliferation is a killer for a business because there's you'll see a saying later on about that. Okay, next. Realistic. Now, a lot of people, that's a pretty important one when you think about it. So, what can you do to make sure that whatever plans you've developed are realistic? What information do you need? What knowledge do you need? Okay? There's a wonderful sort of ladder. Data, information, knowledge, wisdom over time. You start with data, develops information. Over time, you get knowledge, and then even over more time, you get wisdom. Okay? It's funny. A lot of people say that their parents get smarter as they get older. Think about that. Yeah, because you learn that maybe they're more wiser than you realize, potentially, or other people for that time element. So being realistic, what makes you believe you can actually accomplish these goals at a set time? Okay? Next, please. Agree. Everybody in the organization has to agree that this is achievable, right? Because everybody's got a little job in that organization. We like to say everybody's in marketing. Everybody in the organization is really in marketing. We're all promoting our business. It only makes sense, even from a self-interest standpoint, right? So everybody has to look at that plan and go, yeah, this makes sense. It seems doable and achievable. I see my part in it, okay? And that's what coming around the table and having that conversation and making sure people understand that. All right? Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Focus?
Yes.
Can you explain that a little bit more in what 80/20 is?
Oh, I'm sorry, sure. There's something called the 80/20 rule, and what it says is that 80% of your business is done by 20% of your customers. And it's almost always true. In some cases, it's even more than that, believe it or not. And actually, from a cooperative standpoint, in some ways, it's really good. Our credit union is 31,000 people. 11% of the people provide all the profit. Think about that. 11% of the people provide all the profit for the credit union, and the other remaining 80% plus don't. Okay, so that 80/20 rule. And so the idea here is that 20% of your activity will give you 80% of your results. So don't get so wide. You're better to focus on a small couple of items and do those well. That's how you want to focus. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Good question. And if you have questions or even like, wow, I give a great example about that. We'd love to hear it because we want to try to open that up a little bit, okay? Please click. Okay. Again, please. All right, the resulting plans should become a working document which will guide your organization. Working document is very important. What is it, define a working document for me. What would you say a working document is?
A set of rules that change over time.
Not quite. But change is an important word there. We're going to grab change out of your definition. Anybody else what's a working document?
Well, I would say it's a set of principles, and the application of those principles is going to change depending on the context.
Yes, and I'm going to take it down to a more practical level, but you're on it, and the reason why change is important. A working document is the document that you pull off of your computer every day. You open it up and you make some changes to it. It's a working document. It's the same document every single week, every month. It's always changing. You're updating it. You're having a meeting, updating it all the time. That's a working document. Your marketing plan has to be a working document, okay? Really critical, because the worst thing to do is go through this process and take that document and put it on the shelf. Hi, come on in. Is this Providence?
Yeah.
Hello. And if you can click to the next slide. And we're on page 3. See how you guys doing? Raining like crazy? Great. I'm glad you made it safely. Well, it matters. And I've got some pens here if you guys need some pens. All right. Oh, click back. Yeah, okay, the second part of this. So we're talking a little bit about planning, okay, today about marketing plans. And everything I've already gone over that's a full presentation. So if you guys need to go back and look, you can go back and look and catch up with us on that at any time, okay? All right. All right. So this whole idea of that it is a working document. Maybe you only update it once a month, but you should pull it out, look at it, and update it, and then be ready to go, okay? So working on an Excel spreadsheet, for example, would be very handy in order to do that kind of thing. We put all of our planning documents on Excel spreadsheets because we make columns and all kinds of stuff, and it's very easy to change. All right, so if the marketing plan is to work, every exception to it must be questioned. That's the performance idea. In other words, at the end of the year, you look at your plan and you say, geez, how many things did we actually accomplish? You know, wow, we did number 1, 3, and 5, but boy, we missed out on 2 big time, okay? What happened? That was an exception. We said we thought we were going to do that, and it didn't happen. Figure it out. Learn from that. Was it a bad execution? Was it a bad idea? What was it, okay? So if you have an exception in your marketing plan, then you can go ahead and you can try to note that so you can learn lessons learned from that, okay? Because if you do that, and that's why it's a working document, because you're updating it every month and you're checking on it, ooh, that wasn't good, that was good. Because at the end of the year, you're going to have part of your next year's plan already written because you've been making notes and comments about what to do and maybe what not to do, okay, the next time around, all right? So that's very important. Okay, click, please. Okay, so a couple of the elements of a plan. You can go ahead and put all those out. There's about 5 or 6 of them. More, and one more, I think. Okay. All right. So if you had a document and you want to have an outline for this plan, these would be, if you will, the major headings. Okay. Executive summary. That's pretty obvious what that is. It's a summary of the plan. I don't know, back in high school or college or whatever, you probably always learned that you know, if you're going to do a report, you write the intro at the end, right? Because you don't know what your intro is going to be yet until you do everything. Okay. Okay. So think about that sort of at the end for a minute. We'll put that to the side. Situation analysis. What do you believe situation analysis might be? How would you define situation analysis, maybe? Anybody?
Is it your competitors, who your target customers
Yep.
are?
Okay,
where
this
they
is
are?
your situation, your business situation. What does that look like? Opportunities, issues, analysis, also known as SWOTs, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We're going to talk about that real quick in a minute. You have to have some objectives. You're going to have marketing strategy, and you're going to have some tactics. Then you have to think about your financial forecasts. You know, how much business are we going to do? Hi, come on in.
Okay. Hi.
That's it. We're coming to page maybe 4. So, financial forecast, you have to sort of figure out what your budget is and so forth. That's pretty obvious. And then the last area is controls and metrics. Okay? So obviously you have to have some type of performance standards to understand, are you doing better or worse than last month or last year or your competitors or whatever. Okay? So that's what metrics and controls are. Okay? And we're going to sort of quickly talk about each one of these. And again, it's all written down, so you know if you want to listen better than write, that may help you a little bit. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, all right. So macro environment. Let's talk about what that is. If you can click a few times, please. Probably. Yep. One more. That's it. Oh, that's fine. Okay. So when you think about the macro environment, that's what we're sort of talking about. We're talking about the economy. What's going on in the economy? How important is the economy to your business? For some businesses, it can be very important. For other businesses, only parts of the economy might matter. It all depends on what your business is. Technology. How does technology play into your business? And I don't necessarily mean you're a technology company like you, which obviously plays dramatically in, but that's a little bit differently. That's industry. Versus technology in general is what I'm talking about, okay? Obviously regulatory, if you're in a position, we're a credit union, so we're a financial institution. We have lots of regulations, okay? We have a full-time person that all they do is deal with regulations every day, okay? I can't produce a marketing piece and send it out without going through an attorney, all right? Because of my regulations. You may have very little regulations. You're dealing with food, you might have regulations, depending on what kind of service or product that you might be in. So, socio-cultural. That may have an effect on how your business is. And then, of course, sustainability. Not only the issue of sustainability and maybe what we would consider in the consumer side, but also just the sustainability of what you're planning on doing, or how it may even affect sustainability. Okay, so a lot of fingers on that one around. But that's sort of the macroeconomic environment. Take the time and just think through that. What's important to me? What may not be important to me in that area? Okay. All right, consumer. So we do, I think, 3 of there, and 1 more. Okay, so here, this is understanding your consumer a little bit, and you had mentioned about market, but we're actually going to get into market versus consumer. A market is a group of consumers. Consumer is one person, right? If I have 100 of them, I got a market, in a sense. All right, so think of it that way as a consumer versus your market. So demographics, psychographics, okay? Demographics, age, income, okay? Psychographics, maybe a certain point in their life. It's, you know, your life cycle. There's no doubt that a person who's 60 years old has a different lifestyle than a person who's 20 years old. Those are the psychographics of what that might be and how they're thinking and how you communicate with them and so forth. So it's okay. People are going through life at different stages and they're involved at different levels, okay, of different things. So buying motivation. What's going to motivate your consumers to buy? What's going to motivate your potential customers to decide to do business with you? Okay? What's their hot button? What's their emotional button, if there is one, okay? So thinking about that, what is going to drive them to do business with you? And then loyalty factors. Once you get them to try you once, or be with you once, or buy your product once, how do you get them to keep coming back? And is that important to you? Is it important to have? Someone said outreach and relationships over here. That we don't do this, we build relationships. That's marketing. building, no matter how you do that, okay? So loyalty factors, what could those possibly be that would be important to how you would market your company, your product, your business? Okay, next slide, please. Okay, market definition. Yeah, go right down the list. Right there. Okay. So market definition. So it's more situated. Now this goes back to market. Bunch of consumers. Now we have a market. Okay, so define your market. Is it geographic? So many miles from this location. That's one way to define a market. Is it psychographic or is it demographic? Someone here said teens and maybe older teens, a little fuzzy on that, I remember somebody said. And that, so do you have a primary market? And then do you have a secondary market? Okay? So that's another way to look at that and define that market. And your size and, of course, segmentation. Size. Is your market big enough to sustain you? Are there too many other competitors in that market? Okay? So the competition and the market share. There's just too many people competing for the same consumer, and that's why you can't make it go. So what would happen if some more, you guys are doing the bikes, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so all of a sudden you get back tomorrow and you see there's a big billboard, new bike company, .com bikes or something, you know, and you look outside and there are 30 bikes lined up by the bus station. Ready to plan for that? Because nobody was going to send you a note that said, this is coming, we're coming. They just show up. Okay? Right? Happened to me at a credit union in Amherst, Massachusetts. We're the University of Massachusetts Credit Union. Aldenville Credit Union took a storefront downtown Amherst. Our board of directors went crazy. They're in our backyard. Can't believe it. We didn't know until we started to hear something on the street, and all of a sudden, a few weeks later, there's a sign up. So, competitor, market share. And what are your competitor's strengths and weaknesses? Very important. Who are you up against? Who are you battling for business? You know, it's wonderful to be a cooperative and have cooperative values, but you're still in business. Whether you're in business for your members or the public, like a food co-op, right? People can shop a food co-op. You don't have to be a member, but a member gets some extra benefits because of their participation. Okay, so what are those strengths and weaknesses on those competitors? And then market trends. Is your market going up? Is your market going down? Is your market flat? What's going on with your market? And your market is the consumers you're after and the product you're selling or the service you're selling, okay? You got to keep track of that. So it's very, very important. Over the last several years, the economy has done obviously pretty poorly, and people have not borrowed as much money as they used to. Well, that's a market trend. I lend money to people. I'm a credit union. I give out auto loans. I give out credit cards. I give out mortgages. I want people to borrow money from me, and all of a sudden they decided nobody wanted to take my money. What do? I mean, I have this money. My members brought in money. It's a big pile of money, and I got to get this money out the door and put it out there because I don't make any money with it sitting on the floor. And nobody wanted to lend any money because the market, and that was the trend. Everybody, all the banks, all the credit unions, it was going like this, and they're like, no, hello. I mean, you were fighting a trend. How could you possibly? There was nobody interested. Okay, and we have to get through that and have a plan to weather that storm. And now we're going back up again. What's that? You'll take my money? Good. Okay. Thank God. I'll meet you outside later. Okay, because I've got that in the back of the car. All right, always carry a bag of money. You never know when you can make a loan. All right, so let's go ahead to the next slide. Okay, so a little group exercise. Go ahead and click. Take a few minutes and think of information gaps that you currently have in developing your situation analysis. So take a minute. All the things that we talked about, those, whether it's your market, consumers, macro, any of those areas, what jumped out at you that said, wow, I really need to understand that better? Take a minute and write something down.
So
Yeah, in your little groups. Yeah, absolutely. Just take a second.
the macro environment, like sustainable food is people with change, but like what is our